At this hour, we go live to Pinar del Rio, Cuba, where the country is celebrating the commemoration of National Rebellion Day. Let's see. We're looking at the images of the act of commemoration of National Rebellion Day currently going on in the Cuban province of Pinar del Rio.
Hoy recuerdo a los mambises que en estos campos lucharon y coraje derramaron defendiendo sus raíces. Por abiertas cicatrices llovió la sangre cubana. Y aquel hijo de Mariana con las garras de un león fue quien trajo la invasión hasta la tierra mantuana. En Cuba hay un general igual que el maceo aquel. En Cuba hay un general igual que el maceo aquel que lleva sobre la piel un chaleco de moral. Si un imperio imponente en su camino se toma, vuelve a dirigir la tropa desde oriente hasta occidente. Desde oriente hasta occidente, según la historia atestigua. Desde oriente hasta occidente, según la historia atestigua, hay héroes en la manigua que viven eternamente. Y si el águila impaciente agrede al caimán un día, con la misma valentía de aquellos guapos leones, en Cuba quedan millones de maceos todavía. Mi patria ha sido y será por su historia y por su herencia. Mi patria ha sido y será por su historia y por su herencia un grito de independencia y un eterno Baraguá. No tembló ni temblará frente al enemigo cruel. Y sabrá el déspota aquel que bloquea y descontrola de que Cuba es una sola de Cespedes a Fidel.
quisiera dejar la maravilla de sus pinceles en cielo, tierra, mujer y mar. Valle, Viñales, María, el San Diego, Soroa, linda, flores y luz. La suave lira, todo el encanto, la gracia plena es su heredad.
Pinar del Río, qué lindo eres, de Guanagay hasta Guanes, y la ternura de tus mujeres, ay, quitan pesares.
Ay, yo me voy a Pinar del Río, motivo dulce de mi cantar, tierra de música y poesía, bajo tu palma quiero soñar.
Policromía maravillosa de tu campiña, que es un vergel. Ah, de tabaco quedan tus pegas, rica la piña, caña de miel. Eres encanto del alma mía, te lleva ardiente mi corazón. Y no hay un día que Dios no pida que te bendiga plena de amor. Pinar del Río, qué lindo eres, de Guanagay hasta...
We're looking at the images of the act commemorating the anniversary, the 73rd anniversary of the July 26, 1953 attack on the Moncada barracks. This was an act that occurred in Pinar in the eastern province of Cuba, Santiago de Cuba, which is the crucial moment that started the Cuban Revolution. Let's recall that this moment on July 26, 1953, the commander-in-chief of the Cuban Revolution, Fidel Castro Cruz, decided to attack the Moncada barracks, which was one of the main military bases of the dictator of that moment, Fulgencio Batista, which took over the country by force in 1952. Now, this marks National Rebellion Day since this moment on. This is the 73rd anniversary of National Rebellion Day, which is commemorated in Cuba with many celebrations, with acts all around Cuba, but now especially the main celebration is underway in Pinar del Rio, in the western province of Pinar del Rio of Cuba, which we can see many Cuban authorities, including President Miguel Díaz-Canel Bermúdez. More than 5,000 residents of Pinar del Rio gathered today in the temporary plaza in the Hernandez Cruz neighborhoods. This has been 50 years since the first July 26 celebration in Pinar del Rio, and this is the fourth time the province has been designated as the host for the July 26 celebration. This July 26, Pinar del Rio's Plaza de la Revolución will host the main ceremony for National Rebellion Day for the third time, as it also serves for the venue for these celebrations in Cuba in the year 2000 and 2017. The President of Cuba visited several economic and social sites in the province, hosting this important national holiday on Saturday, just hours before commemorating the 73rd anniversary of the attacks of the Moncada and Carlos Manuel de Cespedes barracks. The first secretary of the Central Committee of the party and President of the Republic, Miguel Díaz-Canel Bermúdez, visited several economic and social sites in Pinar del Rio this Saturday. The province won the bid to host the activities for the 73rd anniversary of the attacks on the Moncadas and Carlos Manuel de Cespedes barracks. Well, let's continue looking at the images of the celebrations currently going on.
Sean honestos, que sean puros, que sean sinceros, amantes de la justicia, de la verdad, que sepan amar, que sepan querer.
Llegó el comandante y mandó a parar. Y se acabó la diversión. Llegó el comandante y mandó a parar.
Entonces,
In that moment,
Artemisa,
in Artemisa,
la que más combatientes aportó al
the
Moncada
most
y
important
al
combatant
supremo sacrificio
for the supreme sacrifice
de la vida,
of life
pertenecía a la
belonged
provincia
to the
de
province
Pinar
of
del Río.
Pinar del Rio.
Hoy pertenece
Today
a
it
Pinar
belongs,
del Río,
Pinar del Rio
a
belongs
La Habana
to
y a Cuba.
Havana and to Cuba.
Hoy
Today,
Pinar del Río,
Pinar del Rio,
me atrevo a decirlo,
I would dare to say,
pertenece también
belongs
al mundo.
also to the world.
Aquí pensaban seguir ganando el 100% con casas de apartamento y echar al pueblo a sufrir y seguir de modo cruel. Por conspirando para seguir explotando y en eso llegó Fidel.
Y se acabó la diversión, llegó el comandante y mandó a parar. Se acabó la diversión, llegó el comandante y mandó a parar.
Aquí pensaban seguir tragando y tragando tierra sin sospecha que en la sierra se alumbraba el porvenir y seguir de modo cruel. Suele tener un garito, hace de Cuba un garito y en eso llegó Fidel.
Y se acabó la diversión, llegó el comandante y mandó a parar. Se acabó la diversión, llegó el comandante y mandó a parar.
Aquí pensaban seguir diciendo que los cuatreros, forajidos bandoleros, asolaban al país y seguir de modo cruel con la infamia por escudo, difamando a los barbudos y en eso llegó Fidel.
¿Qué pasó? Se acabó la diversión, llegó el comandante y mandó a parar. Se acabó la diversión, llegó el comandante y mandó a parar.
Aquí pensaban seguir jugando a la democracia y el pueblo que en su desgracia se acabara de morir y seguir de modo cruel sin cuidarse ni la forma como el robo como norma y en eso llegó Fidel.
Se acabó la diversión, llegó el comandante y mandó a parar. Se acabó la diversión, llegó el comandante y mandó a parar. Se acabó la diversión, llegó el comandante y mandó a parar. Se acabó la diversión, llegó el comandante y mandó a parar.
Esto es un ciclón de verdad. El ciclón parece una bota. Estamos aquí, vivos y echando para adelante.
Parece que el ciclón ya se fue y ya se pueden ver las estrellas. Parece que la vida cambió.
Lo he visto con un espíritu distinto, de combatividad, aportando, ayudándose uno a los otros, agradeciendo, y es correcto eso también, la solidaridad de las otras provincias que han venido aquí.
Mano para arriba, mi gente bonita. Pensaba que yo no. Ay.
Fernando Borrego Linares, que es mi nombre original, es el de mi familia, de la finca de Cusco, de allá de Brujito.
Se puede lograr todo y trabajar mucho es lo que hace falta aquí.
No nos limitemos a resistir. Vamos a salir de estas dificultades.
Resisting, we're gonna keep
como lo
going
hemos
forward,
hecho siempre,
like we have always
con
done,
paciencia.
with bravery.
En medio de un escenario complejo,
In the midst of a
marcado
very
por las
complex
numerosas
scenario,
limitaciones que impone
marked
la
by
política
the
de
numerous
asfixia
the
del gobierno de
difficulties
Estados
after
Unidos
the
en la vida
asphyxiation of
cotidiana
the
de nuestro
government of the
pueblo.
United
El
States
Buró
against
Político
our
del Comité
country,
Central del
the
Partido
political
Comunista
bureau
Cuba
of the
acordó
Communist
otorgar
Party of
a
Cuba
la provincia de
agreed
Pinar
to
del Rio
give the
la
province
sede del
of
acto
Pinar del
central
Rio
nacional
the
motivo del
head of
26 de
the
junio,
national
aniversario
celebrations
73 del asalto a los
for the
cuarteles
73rd anniversary of the attack against the Carlos Manuel Moncada and Carlos Manuel de Cespedes barracks. Congratulations, pinareños.
En los últimos años,
In the past few years, this territory has shown great results in the in taking care of tasks for political and social acts, for services, for formal services, and for other parts of the society of Pinar del Rio. To talk for the people of Pinar del Rio, we invite the first secretary of the Communist Party of Pinar del Rio,
Compañero Miguel Díaz Canel
Comrade Miguel Díaz Canel Bermúdez, first secretary of the Communist Party and president of the Republic, comrades of the presidency, guests, dear Pinar del Rio people. Today we surrender dignity for the martyrs that died during the attacks of Carlos Manuel de Cespedes. With their struggle, like Maratí, they vindicated the history of Cuba, and we will keep vindicating it for the rest of our history. For the heroes of Moncada, more than 40 were from Pinar del Rio. 3 of them died in combat, and other 3 of them were mercilessly murdered by the dictatorship of Fulgencio Batista after the assault. Exactly 5 decades ago, in the year 1976, the moment where our province was for the first time the host of this celebration. The commander, valuing the participation of the people of Pinar del Rio in the struggle against the tyranny, said, "This province gave one of the best contingents for the start of the armed struggle, like Artemisa, Guanajay, and the city of Pinar del Rio." Seems like we're having some communications issues, but let's recall we're looking at the celebrations that are being hosted currently in Pinar del Rio province in Cuba for the 76th anniversary of the attack against the Moncada and Carlos Manuel de Cespedes barracks, which was presided over by the commander of the revolution, Fidel Castro Cruz, in 1956. Now the city of Pinar del Rio has been 50 years since the first July 26 celebration in Pinar del Rio, and this is the fourth time the province has been designated as the host for the July 26 celebration. This July 26, Pinar del Rio's Plaza de la Revolución will host the main ceremony for National Rebellion Day for the third time, as it also served as a venue for the celebrations in Cuba in the year 2000 and 2017. The president visited several economic and social sites in the province, hosting this important national holiday on Saturday, just hours before commemorating the 73rd anniversary of the attacks on the Moncada and Carlos Manuel de Cespedes barracks. The first secretary of the Central Committee of the Party of the Communist Party and the President of the Republic, Díaz-Canel, is currently in the celebration, and he visited several economic and social sites in Pinar del Rio this Saturday. We'll go back with Yamile Ramos from Pinar del Rio. I want my whole country, I love my whole country profoundly, but I especially love this province. Here is where Maceo had his last fights, next to the people from the east that accompanied him in the invasion. Here, through San Andres, I say goodbye to Che Guevara before leaving for Bolivia. This is where my mother was born, and when the baseball team wins, I enjoy it like all of you. People from Pinar del Rio. In this land, every day we can see the effort multiplied to assure the efficiency. Even now, with all the troubles that we're going through, we can see everything that defines the efforts of the people that are hosting this history, our workers, farmers, professionals, creators, technicians, sportsmen, students, and combatants. This reconnaissance is noble, humble, and has been a great show before the difficulties. In the midst of the energetic contingencies after the blockade. Any moment you talk about Pinar del Rio, you're always going to remember the years after the Hurricane Ian in the year 2022. And these peoples rose again with the same fury. And we managed the recovery of hundreds of housing that were lost afterwards. And managed to keep going. We have been able to construct 7,000 new homes. When it comes to agriculture and other sectors, we are working in over 1,000 photovoltaic equipment for the crops. We need to give it to the province for the men and women that have worked very hard to put these 4 photovoltaic parks with a capacity of 87 megawatts in the territory. For those moving forward in the energy transition, the communication sector is key, so is agriculture and healthcare. The agricultural industry services for the population. The merit is for those that have been able to participate in the construction of the children's homes, for the ones that keep going with the indicators of education quality, for all the units that keep going against all adversity, with over 1,700 licensed students from over 30 careers, and keep working on the political, social, and economic issues of the territory. When it comes to public health, we can see the reconnaissance of this sector. The Pinar del Rio has a mortality rate and a child mortality rate very low. Several municipalities have managed to keep in zero the mortality rate, the child mortality rate, for a long period. The hope of living is of 78 years old, and the international medical community, this is part of only 38 countries. Also, it is worth noting the people from other sectors, the solidarity they have been able to retrieve these services for hospitals and healthcare facilities. Before the challenging scenario that we're facing, people from Pinar del Rio were not crossing our arms. In spite the difficulties, when the agricultural sector keeps growing, the crops we haven't been able to fulfill the demand yet, but we are gonna keep working to achieve that. With everything we can count on in the province, 70% of the production of the national tobacco production is done in the Vegas of the territory. We have to keep struggling to improve the ways of living of the workers and their families, those who try to give their lives to these labors to improve the production. With the revenue from the tobacco industry, we can put forward more money for agriculture, for the recovery of housing of those workers, and we can focus on social services and vital services for the population. It is also significant the production of rice, one of the crops that distinguish the province of Pinar del Rio, one of the cereal producing provinces. When it comes to sports, the relevance of Cespedes on the World Championship of athleticism and a gold medal, and the fifth gold medal of Mijail Lopez in the latest Olympics. Like our land has always been.
Nuestro reconocimiento por su fidelidad,
Our acknowledgement for the honor for the National Armed Forces combatants and the Ministry of the Interior, that in their duty they have shared every effort and every task of these people. Compatriots, our infinite admiration to all of you, to those who get up every day to fight, to look for alternative, to break the siege, and to keep going. The promise of the Moncada keeps showing us that there's no obstacle that can stop a people that is decided to defend their independence. Facing the imperial threat, facing the blockade, we'll respond with more work. As for the amnesty, we'll respond with the justice. In this year of the centenary of the birth of Commander Fidel Castro, we have to multiply his work, his ideas, his teachings, his example in every front of the revolution. Eternal glory to the heroes of the homeland. Glory. Homeland of death, we will triumph.
para salvarme entre únicos e impares, para ceder un lugar en su Parnaso, para darme un rinconcito en sus altares. Me vienen a convidar a arrepentirme, me vienen a convidar a que no pierda, me vienen a convidar a indefinirme, me vienen a convidar a tanta mierda. Yo no sé lo que es el destino, caminando fui lo que fui. Ay, a Dios, ¿qué será divino? Yo me muero como viví, yo me muero como viví, yo me muero como
la zurda más que diestro. Yo quiero hacer un congreso del unido. Yo quiero rezar a fondo un hijo nuestro.
Dirán que pasó de moda la locura, dirán que la gente es mala y no merece, mas yo partiré soñando travesuras. ¿Acaso multiplicar panes y peces? Yo no sé lo que es el destino.
Caminando fui lo que fui.
Ay, a Dios, ¿qué será divino?
Yo me muero como viví.
Yo me muero como viví. Yo me muero como
por sobre rocas, cuando la revolución se venga abajo, que machacara mis manos y mi boca, que me arrancaran los ojos y el badajo.
¿Será que la necedad parió conmigo? La necedad de lo que hoy resulta necio,
la necedad de asumir al enemigo, necedad de vivir sin tener precio.
Yo no sé lo que es el destino.
Caminando fui lo que fui.
Ay, a Dios, ¿qué será divino?
Yo me muero como viví. Yo me muero como viví.
Yo me muero como
objetivas de cualquier tipo, con problemas de cualquier tipo, nos enfrentaremos resueltamente, valientemente, decididamente. Confiamos en el pueblo y los hechos una vez más lo demostraron. No aquel 26 de 1953, el anterior 26, este 26.
This 26, the difficulties,
Acabaron a los timoratos. Las dificultades desalientan.
the difficulties only stopped cowards. The difficulties only scared those who believe in defeat, but not the people, not the revolutionaries. It is impossible to forget those those circumstances most adverse. It is impossible to forget that.
El espíritu del 26 de julio
The spirit of July 26 is in the memory of a people with the heart well high, that defends their history with the truths of every day without bending ever. It joins us in every sunrise, and it is unthinkable not to follow the path of dignity. For the central work of this act, for the 73rd anniversary of the attacks on the Moncada and Carlos Manuel de Cespedes quartel, we invite the first secretary of the Communist Party of Cuba and President of the Republic, Miguel Díaz-Canel Bermúdez.
Compañeras y compañeros de la presidencia,
comrades of the presidency, people from Pinar del Rio, friends of solidarity. In the first hours of this day, I decided to call on the Army General Raúl Castro Cruz, leader,
quien me solicitó trasladar a ustedes el siguiente mensaje. Queridos pinareños, reciban este 26 de julio el cariño y mi reconocimiento por haber ganado con su esfuerzo, consagración a la causa revolucionaria y trabajo creador, el gran honor de ser sede del acto central por el 73 aniversario del asalto a los cuarteles Moncada y Carlos Manuel de Céspedes, Día de la Rebeldía Nacional. Un fuerte abrazo a todos, Raúl Castro Cruz.
For everybody, Commander Raúl Castro Cruz. Compatriots, Cuba today has a historic battle, a new Moncada, like the generation of the 100 years that went against the walls of the dictatorship of Batista 73 years ago. The current generations go ahead the walls of a genocidal politics that took it upon themselves to asphyxiate the whole people. If those attacks to the Moncadas and Carlos Manuel de Céspedes barracks in 1953 fail, let's remember that that action, it was the little engine that put to work the big engine of the revolution. Those are the words of Fidel Castro that taught us from that moment to look for victory, even in the greatest struggles. And in the history of their defense, he said, why? Saying, there's a reason that is more powerful than anybody else. We are Cubans, and being Cubans implies a duty, not to me, not to accomplish it as a crime and a treason. That's why we're fighting for the means in defense of our sovereignty and our right to freely choose our way of governing ourselves. The same reason why José Martí wanted to conquer all of justice. In memory of all of them, I'd like to warn that this is the first July 26 since the triumph of 1956 that we don't have Commander Ramiro Valdés Menéndez, Revolution Commander Ramiro Valdés Menéndez, hero of that action and all of those that the Cuban people has. Eternal glory to the Moncades, to expeditionary, to the defender of the homeland, to the assessor and guide, to the compromise person to the people of the earth that work until the last moment to convince of his commander-in-chief that all the glory in the world can fit in one shoe. Comrades, Today we celebrate the day of rebellion in this land of Pinar del Rio because of all the results that have been acknowledged already. But I would say that moments like this are not only achievements, but they're proof of day-to-day heroism. One data is enough to prove that. The child mortality rate of 4.8 and the 0 deaths, mother deaths in the midst of the blackouts and all kinds of that is heroism, as it was recognized, and that gave big results in the duties in the economical, political, and social acts, having in front the workers of the service, the farmers, intellectuals, and other sectors of society. The province has in front the economy plan and the budget of the state with impacts in the incomes. That is a very habitable territory. I would also like to acknowledge, as an example for other provinces, the relentless work that has been able with which they have been able to put forward production, which is a matter of vital importance today. Of course, speaking of production, we have to talk about tobacco, symbol of the territory. But we can also talk about the agriculture, the production of food. From the science and innovation, the University of Pinar del Rio, Hermano Saíz Montes de Oca, is prioritizing the development, which is a reference for the rest of the country, pushing through all kinds of adversity in this province that is rich. Pedro Junco y Cespedes, they have kept alive the flame of culture. The struggle to sustain heritage and the developments and all the achievements in the artistic production, which talk a lot about the achievements of this province and their wanting to defend their culture, their cultural services, to keep those cultural services for the people. The province, with their municipalities and entities, has allowed for a bigger bond between the communities and the institutions, especially those most vulnerable. Thus, it has what we have been able to see. Congratulations, Pinar del Rio, for the heroism and the results. We salute Villa Clara and Matanzas, the provinces that we also have to recognize, and also Guantánamo and Santi Espíritus. We urge you to stay in front of this and show everybody what we can do and we can change to be able to push past this difficult situation. Compatriots, the historical adversaries of the Cuban nation, paid by the extreme right in the region, and with the power of money to be able to buy conscience and submit wills, every day they're threatening the revolution. And every week they are announcing a new punishment for companies and Cuban authorities, and even for those who are Cubans or foreigners that dare to send an oil ship or to invest in Cuba. The latest sanctions are breaking the infamous record by targeting healthcare personnel and healthcare services. I wonder, under what argument can you point to professionals whose development is in the remote places facing adverse conditions? How is that recognizable recognized by excellence of all governments? those authorities of the state that are experts in writing sanctions are a modern version of those dictators of the medieval times, of the Nazi occupations in World War II. Like the rest of the world is their colony. They order what you should do under threat of punishment or aggression. They have declared a world war against the left, against communism in the 21st century, under the philosophy of this new mandate on the country of the alleged liberties. It is prohibited to protest against the politics of the state, while they keep filling their pockets. To accuse Cuba, not only they're looking for an external agent, they're looking for whom to blame for everything that's been going on with the economy that has made the rich or the rich and poor the poor until extra limits. They're attacking our politics without analyzing the causes, and they're looking for a new excuse to keep their genocidal politics against Cuba and that the world is condemning. Leave Cuba alone. Let Cuba live. And for the U.S. people that historically has battled for the rights of other people without expecting foreign recognition and facing persecution, deaths, and prison, Cuba is not a threat, not for the United States, not for any other country on the earth. We are a noble people that were saving lives, where others destroyed, that we send doctors and teachers where other people send bombs. We train professionals from all over the world in the middle of the greatest adversities. In these vital days of the school year, Cuban universities have licensed 35,000 young professionals, over 700 from other countries. And one piece of data, we're honored 23 new Palestinian doctors and 5 new U.S. doctors. This is why they call terrorism. This is why they call a threat. Everything that Cuba does, everything that the Cuban Revolution can show in programs and facts, in a solid history of 77 years of unstoppable defense of their sovereignty, of cooperation for the life for sciences. The only threat against the security of the region, the true threat against world peace and against human life, is the aggressive politics that is causing hunger, chaos, instability, migration, and tens of thousands of lives worldwide. Cuba is not the first and is not the last victim of this kind of world that blocks, asphyxiates, and looks for this social eruption with the only purpose to impose a government that follows their interests. That's why from this tribune I'm denouncing that Cuba is victim of a genocide coldly calculated. The government of the United States has designed and consciously implemented a politics of maximum asphyxiation against the Cuban people. They are hardened, the blockade, imposing an energy blockade, provoking a huge crisis that we have seen blackouts and affectations to thousands of workers and Cuban families. We can see this in statistics. Deaths caused by the lack of medicines that the country gave freely once, and now we don't have enough. Over 100,000 surgeries that cannot be executed because the hospitals cannot be protected from the outrages. and the faults of the national electrical grid, and for the lack of oil for the support power plants. 102,000 children that haven't been able to receive treatment, and they have been forced to alternative treatment of second and third line. And what is even more painful, the child mortality rate has risen to over 4%, next to the over 9% next to the 4% that was in previous year. This is a direct consequence of the blockade. The coercive measures, the sanctions that the United States, what the United States calls sanctions because they think they have the right to sanction the rest of the planet, are condemned every year for the United Nations National Assembly for going against the international law. It's criminal and it's illegal to punish a people just to make them rebel against their government. You cannot even call it a political tool because the blockade is a war tool and it causes death. Before the international condemnation, the new hawks in front of the Department of State of the United States have written a report against our country, like our foreign affairs government said it's just merely propaganda that is looking through lies, through the fabrication of lies, to fabricate consensus for an excuse for a military aggression against Cuba. We denounce those who design that politics of asphyxiation. Those who preserve it and keep it are the responsible ones for the suffering of the Cuban people, are the responsible ones for the deaths caused because of the lack of access to basic needs. Those are the responsible ones for the hunger that they're trying to impose, and history will not forgive them. We denounce also those who keep quiet by tolerating these assaults of the United States government that is killing, lying, and assaulting, and pretending to know everything. The United States blockade only works with the complicity of those in power in Washington. This is a new call for world conscience. Don't be complicit of another genocide. Every time a part of the world falls before the aggression against Cuba, the international law is debilitating. Every time you accept the illegal sanctions of the United States, it's eroding the principles of non-intervention. Every time a company is sanctioned and is intervened to abandon their companies in Cuba, it strengthens the economic dictatorship of one big power. Before it was Gaza, Lebanon, Iran. Today is Cuba. Tomorrow can be any other nation. Let's not forget that solidarity that today is rising for Gaza worldwide came too late for over 1,700 Palestinians, 2,100 children whose ashes are part of the horrendous mountains of debris that the Zionist entity has made out of the Gaza Strip. That's why I'm saying today that defending Cuba of the cruelty of the United States is not something that can't wait. Defending Cuba urgently is to stop the xenophobic, racist, exclusive ideas, enemies of the liberty and of the human emancipation. Defending Cuba is fighting against colonialism of the 21st century, against hegemony, against the pretension of that one country can decide the destiny of all. There's no greater or lesser nation. The world is not divided between emperors and subjects anymore. That was defeated years ago and cannot come back. Against the intentions of bringing humanity back to the darkest of its ages, There's a lot of voices rising in the world. Cuba knows and recognizes and hugs the countries and the governments, including the representatives of those most noble from the United States people that are giving everything to support the Cuban people, to women and men from the flotilla, from the Nuestra America convoy, to the social movements of Latin America and the Caribbean that have kept the solidarity with Cuba in spite the pressures from Washington, to the organizations, to the human rights organizations that are using the crimes of blockade and taking it to the international community, to the parliamentary groups of different countries that are working non-stop to condemn the sanctions, the illegitimate sanctions, to the organizations of the civil society from Europe that have kept the friendly ties with Cuba in spite the threats, to the social movements, to the pacifist social movements and anti-imperialist movements of the whole world that understand that the fight against hegemony is a fight for peace, and for the agrupations of the global South countries that have the conviction that sovereignty is non-negotiable. I thank especially all those governments that voted in favor of the United Nations resolution against the government in the General Assembly of the UN, in spite of the constant pressure from the United States government. Special thanks to those groups of solidarity with Cuba that are visiting us and are present here today in this act. Pastores por la Paz, Lotus Warriors, Association of Solidarity with Cuba from Australia, Cultural Association of Jose Marti from Yemen, and Marca Pazos Project. Your presence is a living testimony that we are not alone. Your presence today here is an act of courage, because defending Cuba in this time of maximum pressure means taking risks. It means facing critics. It means putting evidence the hypocrisy of those who are defending human rights but keep quiet before crimes of genocide. We thank your support, your bravery. We thank your compromise with justice. Be assured that we will not surrender. Like that night of July 26, every day we take the hard day-to-day life and assault to write the history of Cuba. In the middle of this situation, what are we doing? We're working, we're creating, we are innovating in every productive area. Farmers, producers, scientists, intellectuals, artists, students. We're innovating, we're putting forward more energy to keep working, to keep producing, while our art visitors are trying to keep us without lights, without energy, without water, and without hope. Our answer to the asphyxiation is the inventive, the creativity, and even if it bothers you, also the joy of the Cuban people. The answer to the blockade is the effort of the intelligent and efficient effort. The answer to those attempts to divide us is unity. The unity is our first weapon, our first strategic weapon. As Commander Raúl Castro said when on January 1st, 2024, and he asked us to care for it. Unity is not uniformity. It means, in spite of the differences, different dynamics and ways to face challenge, we all have the same goal, that Cuba is a socialist, sovereign, independent, dignified country without leaving anybody behind. Everybody with that purpose will, without that purpose, we take the revolution without sense, because whenever there hasn't been unity, revolution has been lost. The creativity and effort alone are not enough to show and to destroy the structures of the blockade. That conviction gives us the strategic conviction of the reforms, the economical and political reforms that we have been debating for several years. We have started a process of macroeconomic cleansing, and we are pushing forward new ways of economic development, opening new ways for economic forms, always under the sacred principles that these changes cannot turn our back on social justice. This is the social battle of this generation. It is a very complex mission and has a lot of risks. And we have the responsibility to minimize those situations for the most vulnerable people. The audacity of the Moncada shows us not to be afraid of changes, but for those who lost their lives and for those who have given their lives, the economic principles have to have the base of the social justice. We reaffirm that Cuba is and will always be a sovereign country, that nobody under no circumstance has a right to choose for us, that the decisions, the economic decisions, political and social decisions are and will be ours. This 2026 has special meaning, and not only for Cubans. The year of the centenary of Commander Fidel Castro Cruz. Soon, revolutionary friends from all 5 continents with their own resources and willing to share what they have wanted to participate in this act of solidarity for the 100 years of Fidel. Those are going to be days to debate his ideas, to evaluate the international situation and the role of the Cuban Revolution in one of the most difficult moments of its history. It is also going to be the moment to test ourselves in the moment of the revolutionary practice that is a legacy of the Commander-in-Chief. In the year of his centenary, we are committed to honor his memory with words and facts, with work, with unity, with dignity, and with enough clarity and determination to apply in the shortest time possible these transformations that the times is demanding from us. From the young people, I would like to address them. You are the present and the future. You are the heirs of Abel Santa Maria, of Mirta and Aide, and of all of that generation, the centenary generation of the generation. You are the young people of the centenary of Fidel. You are called to lead from every neighborhood and from every piece of the land. Participate and transform for the well-being of all of us, like one day the other generation did. Jose Marti said, only one strength a country needs, not to distrust their own strength. Compatriots, the call now is for action, to not wait, to not feel sorry, to think like country, to look for alternatives with audacity and creativity, to support every resource like is the most important, to produce, to substitute importations, to develop our potential, to trust in our own strength, that each Cuban in their own workplace, in their field, in their workshop, in their school, in their neighborhood, be and is the lead character in this transformation that we owe each other to push forward from this difficult moment. The call today is for hope. Like that morning of Santa Ana, that we face incredible challenges with the same optimism and with the conviction of victory. Cubans today are also triumph. And this July 26, we reaffirm our commitment to the homeland, to the revolution, with the conquest of socialism and with the task of rising the task after 6 decades of blockade, reinforced until it became a genocidal plan that each dawn finds us fighting. Long live July 26, long live National Rebellion Day. Long live sovereign and independent Cuba. Long live this international solidarity of Cuba. Socialism or death. Homeland or death. We will triumph.
Tú que dices que tu patria no es tan linda. Oye, tú que dices que lo tuyo no es tan bello.
Yo te invito a que busques por el mundo otro cielo tan azul como mi cielo.
Una luna tan brillante como aquella que se filtra en la dulzura de la caña.
Y un Fidel que vibra en la montaña, un rubí, 5 franjas y una estrella.
Y un Fidel que vibra en la montaña, un rubí, 5 franjas y una estrella.
Pinar del Rio, Cuba, where this celebration for the 76th anniversary of Rebellion Day is taking place, amid a great celebration that is presided over by Cuban authorities.